Raider Nation is in mourning after the loss of one of the greatest to ever don silver and black. On Sunday, the original Raider, Jim Otto, passed away at age 86. His 15 seasons through the 60s and 70s in Oakland cementing a legacy that will always be remembered when the autumn wind plays here at Allegiant Stadium.
Jim, may you rest in peace.
Commitment to excellence, pride and poise, the greatness of our football team were not only exemplified by Jim Otto, but for more than a decade, he was the standard of excellence by which centers were judged in professional football.
The gritty, old-school center and first ballot Hall of Famer bared the iconic double zeros and embodied the Raider way, playing a remarkable 210 consecutive games despite doing battle in the trenches.
Swaggering boisterously. His face is weather-beaten. He wears a hooded sash with a silver hat about his head and a bristling black mustache. He growls as he storms the country.
Greatness. The man had a great character. The way he would represent the team and talk about his playing days, his teammates, the organization. It was just always professionally done, and he was just fun to be around, just his aura. I heard from certain Raider alumni when they first got drafted that, seeing Jim Otto to them was like meeting Raider Jesus. He was on that pedestal. People admired him for who he was. And you look at old vintage photos of him, I mean, his helmet was just beat to hell, and there's images of blood going coming down his forehead, and the operations that he had. I think he had several hip, knee, shoulder replacement surgeries that really took a toll on his body, and he never missed a game in his whole career. He was a gladiator on the field, and people, I think, athlete football players, they admired that. Like, this man came to play and gave it his all. Now that he's gone, it's tough. It's a tough one to swallow. He was a great leader, great representative of the Raiders organization, and a human being. So yeah, it's definitely a tough loss in Raider Nation for sure.
In each game, I get pushed on one side of my face, then on the other side of my face.
On Madness, screaming at Jim Otto, "Come on, get to him!" for crying out loud.
Zero came from a nickname, and it was Haunt.
He was a sharp man, even though he was up there in age. I remember the first time I really had an opportunity to meet him was at Scott's restaurant, seafood restaurant in Jack London Square. Another former offensive lineman, John Vella, used to hold these 76 reunion Super Bowl parties. The players, they set up their tables and stuff, and you could go up and get autographs, talk to them, take pictures. And obviously I made it a point to go up to Mr. Otto, Mr. Raider, and just said, man, obviously I was too young to see you actually play. But just reading up on you and seeing stories about you. And I would say it was probably maybe a year or two later after that, there was a playoff game that the Raiders were going against Broncos. And they were still in LA, and me and a buddy flew down to attend the game. Went to the hotel the night before the game where the Raiders would come in and register, and a lot of the alumni was there, Jim Plunkett, Jim Otto, and a few others. And when I saw Jim, I wanted to, again, make a point to go over and shake his hand and say hello. And he was actually talking to Jim Plunkett's, I think, nieces and nephews. And for those that don't know, Jim Otto had, I believe, one or two Burger King franchises that he owned in Auburn, which is near Sacramento, California. And one of the kids said to him, "Hey, I heard you own a McDonald's." And he bent down on his knees, put his hands on his knees, and said, "Hey, those are fighting words. I own a Burger King." And the kid just eyes lit up like, oh no. And then he just grabbed his head, shook the little kid's head, and then gave him a hug and said, I'm just playing with the young man. And, he walked away. But that was, kind of personality and person he was. And after I walked up to him and, reintroduced myself, said, Jim, I had the luxury of meeting you over at Scott's. And he goes, yeah, I remember. And I even lit up like, huh? And he goes, yeah, where's your buddy? And I go, oh, he didn't make this trip. I'm here with my other buddy. And he was like, yeah. He goes, man, that was a good party, huh? And I said, yeah, yeah, it was. And I was just like, did he really remember me? I walked away going, if he did that, that's amazing. Because again, it was like 2 to 3 years later. I'm sorry, 1 to 2 years later, and for him to like, yeah, I remember. He goes, where's your buddy? And I was like, wow, so, again, and there was a couple times after that, just him at this time he was wheelchair bound. And there's a steering committee that holds these Commitment to Excellence Award dinners. And they were held in at the Hilton in Oakland, Airport Hilton. And again, he was there, and I took the opportunity to come and shake his hand again. And just a wonderful man. Would stop and talk to you, sign anything and everything you wanted. But just a great human being. And talking to friends of mine that are Raider alumni, either played with them, Phil Villapiano being one of them, we just always talk about, what a great guy Jim is.
Raider fans in Las Vegas and across the country continue to remember Otto and keep his family in their thoughts, his memory coming to mind whenever the Al Davis torch is lit for years to come. From Allegiant Stadium, I'm Nick Walters.